Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? My name is Rob Carmona, and welcome back to another episode of Rob the Mic. So, for this week's episode, it's going to be a little bit different. I was able to catch up on my work, get some things done, and structure the podcast a little bit. So, if I'm looking down at my screen, I promise you it's not because I don't want to look at you guys, but I got to check my notes. I got to make sure everything is kind of as it should be. And I was just kind of thinking, trying to go through it because I had a couple of things that went down this past weekend, and it was nothing bad, nothing like crazy per se. I mean, there were some events that were like, oh man, but overall, like it wasn't too bad. But it inspired this week's episode, and I was like, all right, well, since I have some time, because I have my work kind of scheduled, and I was able to figure everything out, get everything done on time. I said I could put a little bit more work into the podcast, and not that I don't put work into the podcast, but a lot of the times I feel like when subjects kind of come up or my ideas kind of come up, I like to just have the conversations with you guys. I'll have my notes and I have my key points that I want to hit, but they're not super structured. And I kind of like that. But once in a while, depending on the idea and depending what the conversation is going to be about, I do like to have a little bit of structure. So this week, we're going to try that out and see how it goes. And we've done it in the past, right? And it's worked out. So I'm sure this one will be just fine. But this is going to be another one of those. So again, if I'm looking down, it's not because I don't want to look at you guys. It's because I'm checking everything, making sure I'm hitting all my points. You know what I mean? So this past weekend, I ended up getting some drinks with homies on Saturday night. And I mean, I had a great time. It was dope. We went out to Silver Lake in LA, went out to a couple bars, just kind of chilled out. We ended up closing out one of the bars, which was rad. And we hadn't seen each other in a very, very long time. So, of course, since we hadn't seen each other in a while, and there was a group of 6 of us, everybody has a lot to say. So we start talking about all kinds of stuff, right? Political climate, personal shit that's going on. And it was funny because one of the girls, she just, I feel like you give her the opportunity and she's going to run it. And she had a lot to say and it was dope. It's always cool to listen to what she has to say. And I don't want to reveal any names or go into any of that because I don't want her to be like kind of feel spotted out. You know what I mean? But it was dope. So we start going off, and a part of the conversations that we're having is it seemed kind of around the idea of just kind of people putting their nose in other people's business or kind of like people not staying in their lane type of situation. And she's like, I feel like if people just focused on themselves, things would be a lot different. And it comes to, I mean, it affects everything, right? But we were talking about dating, to be specific. And she's like, I feel like people just aren't honest with themselves. They're not truthful to themselves. I feel like people will kind of give you this impression of who they are, give you this idea of who they are. And then 6 months later, a year later, the real version of them comes out. And she's like, I feel like if people just stayed in their lane and just stayed true to themselves, we wouldn't have that problem. And I was like, nah, like I hear you. I hear you. So again, it was a great conversation between all of us because we start talking about our difficulties in dating, meeting people, getting to know people. And not that this episode is specifically about dating, but again, that part of the conversation just so happened to be revolved around that. But it made me laugh because I get that. I've experienced that in the last couple months. And I feel like with myself, as time has passed, I've just kind of realized that like, shit, dude, I gotta just worry about me. I can't worry about other people. I can't worry about other shit that's going on. Like that doesn't have anything to do with me. If I stay in my lane and I keep on it, it's cool. And then what's funny is Brianna and I were also having a conversation over the weekend, and a part of our conversation was through Instagram. So she sent me this video. And again, I promise you, it falls in line. The video that she sent me was this girl. She's at the club and she's kind of doing like a fit check, and there's like a big ass mirror. So she's filming herself. And then there's this chick in the background that's just yakking her brains out. And it's the funniest shit because she's just there modeling, doing her thing, showing off her fit. And the caption of the video was like, it had something to do with just staying in your lane. Like that isn't, whatever the fuck's going on outside of my world, it's got nothing to do with me. And she was completely unfazed, not bothered by it. She didn't zoom in on the chick. She didn't anything. Like she just stayed on her outfit, stayed on her shit. She had her drink in her hand, doing her thing. And then that's it. So there was something about it that I was like, man, that is so fucking tight. Like it's fucked up, right? Because obviously there's a chick yakking in the back, but She's like, dude, that doesn't concern me. That's outside of my fucking spec right now. And all I can focus on, all I can help is myself, which is me, this outfit, and this drink in my hand. And I'm like, we kind of have to start doing shit like that. And especially right now. We are in a time right now where I think people not need to just mind their own business, but I feel like people need to stay in their lanes and just chill the fuck out, because I feel like everybody's kind of reaching to get involved with so much shit, stick their noses in things, put their comments on certain shit that they probably shouldn't be commenting on. And it's like, why are you doing that? Just chill the fuck out. And that's not for everybody. I do think there are certain people that should be speaking up and should be kind of spreading things out, but that's also a part of their lane too. You know what I mean? Like, I have a buddy of mine, Juan. He's super vocal on his Instagram. Like, he's in the influencer platform. He does his thing with fashion, with all kinds of shit. He's a phenomenal designer. But I feel like what he uses the platform for is fucking sick. And then on top of it, he's even tailored it even more, right? So he has the stories that he posts, and then he has like his close stories, which I'm very thankful and lucky to be a part of, which is cool because we get to have deeper conversations and go into topics a little bit more. But he's talking about all kinds of current climate shit. But for him, that's very much in his lane. And he knows that. And he's like, look, I'm speaking on how I feel about shit, however I need to go about it. And it's tight because he went from making this thing where it's like, that's not my lane, to where he kind of found a vein to where he can make it his thing. And it very much is, right? So you know what you're getting with him. You're going to get stuff about food. You're going to get stuff about fashion. You're going to get stuff about like politics. And it's also coming from a very educated place. Like, he's not just the type of person that's going to go and ramble and bullshit for whatever reason, just because he's angry. Like, he will be angry about stuff and you will very much see that. But he knows what he's talking about. He's very, very well educated in all of these things. So he's not just kind of just talking out of his ass. And I feel like that's a big issue right now, is you have so many people that are just talking out of their ass. And it's like, for those people, that's where we kind of get into today's episode, where it's like, stay in your lane. Keep that shit separated. You know what I mean? Like, if you are this person, don't try to just fucking come up in here. And if you are, make sure that you're educated. Make sure you can back up everything that you're talking about, because you got to be really careful. That's the thing. Like, we are very much in a day and age of social media, of fast production media, where people are constantly saying stuff, people are constantly putting stuff out, and you got to be aware of shit. The moment that you post one thing, subscribing to a certain idea that's kind of supporting a certain person or whatever it may be, you might not agree with everybody. That might not sit well with everybody. And when somebody comes at you with the facts and says certain things, in my opinion, you better have a fucking response. If you choose not to respond, that's obviously completely up to you. You don't have to fucking engage. But I feel like if you're willing and ready to post something and do certain things, you should be willing and ready to answer for those things as well. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like because of my platform, right? Like, the pages that I have right now, I have my stuff about automotive shit, and then I have this, right? This is a completely separate platform, two completely different things that we talk about different kinds of shit, right? One is personal, one is professional. And that's how I keep it, because I don't like getting involved with certain ideas. It's not that I don't support them. And if I'm having a conversation with friends, yeah, we can talk about it for sure. But do I take it to the public space like this? No, not necessarily. Because I kind of want to be, actually not kind of want to be, like, I treat all of this as like Switzerland. Here, it's a safe space. It's cool. If you want to talk about it, you talk about it. If you don't, you don't. It's all good. It's not that we're picking sides. It's not that we're doing this. Like, I just don't want that to come in here, right? So in my sense, I'm staying in my lane. I produce the content that I produce in both of the spaces that I produce them in. And I'm comfortable there, and I like it, and I like what I do. So it's like, I'm going to just stay in this lane and this lane, and that's it. And that's cool for me. And if people want to shift that, again, you have people like Juan who can do that. They can kind of, and he's always been that way. So it's not like it's a weird thing that he just started doing. I've been following him for years. We've been mutuals on socials for a long time. Like, I met him through my last job at 4 Wheel Parts, actually. And he knew what he was doing, and he knew how to do it, and he did it in a very tasteful way. So shouts to you, Juan, for making that shit happen, and for doing something and speaking on shit that I really do think people could listen and take something from it, because you're educating people a certain way. And maybe people don't have those sources. Maybe they don't know where to find those things. So I think it's really fucking tight. But getting into this week's episode is essentially all around the just kind of staying in your lane, minding your business type situation, because we are in a day and age where that's so fucking difficult. Everybody has something to say about every fucking thing. And to me, it's just too much. And I think because of that, people end up taking things personally. For me, I'm really bad at shit like that. I take a lot of shit personally. And over the years, I've had to kind of get used to the idea of like, okay, stepping back from that. If somebody does this, if somebody says this, it's not necessarily because of you. Maybe it's because of shit that they're dealing with, and you can't take it personally. You got to be able to step back. You got to be able to walk back from these things because, again, it has nothing to do with you. But everything that happens nowadays, because of social platforms, I feel like people take it personally and they make it a personal issue. And I get it. If you're passionate about something, speak on it. But again, you also have to watch the other side of it, which is if it has nothing to do with you, it has nothing to do with you. And that was a part of the conversation too that we had on Saturday, is we were talking about certain people being affected by certain things. And it's like, dude, you got to just look at shit and say, okay, I get it. Like I get it, but I'm not even going to get involved in that. I'm not even going to put my 2 cents. Even if I have my own thoughts, I'm not about to voice them. I don't want to be involved in this. I don't want to speak on it like nothing. I'm cool being on the outside, right? And again, because I don't want to let that thing affect me personally, whether it's political, whether it's something to do with the state, the place that you live in, whatever's going on. Like, people have their thoughts on this whole fire situation in California, right? How things are being taken care of, what's happening to certain people, who it's affecting, and all the aid and all. There's so many problems, right, that are going on here specifically in the state of California. You can choose to voice your opinions on that, but you can also just stay in your lane and just kind of chill out. And it's not, I know it sounds fucked up to say, right? Because it's like, no, dude, speak on it. Like, why would you stay quiet? Why would you stay quiet? And I was like, it's not about staying quiet. You can have these active conversations with people in your life, and it can be something productive, right? You can speak on it. You can do something. You can find shit. You don't have to display every single thing that you do to make it seem like you're doing something. Like, I have homies that are actually helping this whole situation, that are donating their time, that are donating their money, and they're not posting it on social media at all. They're going to drives and they're working. They're delivering goods. They're fucking taking this, taking that. They're working with different companies and different, like, small businesses to say, okay, are you going to do collections on this day? Okay, they're helping them organize this, organize that. And again, none of this shit is getting posted on social media because that's a personal thing for them. They are staying in their lane, and they're like, I don't have to share this with the world to show the world that I care. This is for me. You know what I mean? I do it for me because this is what I do, type of thing. And I fuck with that. I like that. But it's really difficult, but we have to kind of remove ourselves from taking things personally, whatever that's happening around us, because it's not a part of our direct circle. And there's a lot of shit that's going on that could affect you personally, right? That could affect your family. Like, you have all the deportations that are going on right now, and there's this massive order, right? Does it affect you personally? For some people, it really does. I have homies right now that are in the position where they're like, fuck, dude, their families could possibly be affected. So they're concerned right now, and they have a right to be concerned. It affects them personally. They can take that. But there's other people who it doesn't affect, it doesn't concern. And I feel like they are taking it so personal, and they're making it a problem. And it's like, just kind of chill out, dude. Like, again, this doesn't concern you. Maybe you can help people. Maybe there's a way that you can kind of put stuff out a certain way. But again, be careful with shit like that. Because there's a way that we have to remove ourselves from it. Because maybe you have enough going on in your life, and you don't need to take on the world's problems. And like, I have family who does shit like that. Like, I have cousins who do that. Like, especially the younger ones, where they don't necessarily have anything, I'm not going to say going on in their lives, but at the same time, they kind of don't. You know, they don't have there's no family issues. There's no crazy shit going on. So they take the world's problems and make it their problem. And they get so upset, and they have anxiety, and they're going to therapy and doing this and doing that. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, that doesn't have anything to do with you. Like, I understand. I don't mean to sound cold. I know how that can come off as cold, right? Because you're like, what the fuck? It's not like you just don't care. It's not that I don't care, but there's a certain point where you have to remove yourself for your own mental health. Because again, you're like, dude, everything is fucked. And if I make that my problem, I have everything else that's fucked on top of the shit that's fucked up in my life. Like, for me personally, I can't fucking handle it. I can't take it. I have more than enough to fucking deal with. I have shit within my, how would you say it, my immediate family, health wise, that is very fucking serious, that needs any and all of my attention at all times. Someone's in the hospital, someone's coming out. I had an aunt that just passed away the other day, like on Sunday. So it's like there's constant shit that's going on right now. And that's enough for me. And again, I'm really sad and I'm really fucking hurt and moved by a lot of the shit that's going on in the world. But unfortunately, there's nothing that I can do. There's nothing that I could move, fix, or anything like that could change that situation. So I just have to look at it and say, okay, I take my notes, and then I get back to my life and stay in my lane and focus on what I need to focus on, which is myself, my family, the people that I love and care for, everybody within that kind of circle that I've created, which we've talked about before, right? Like creating that circle, creating that network of people that you fuck with. And there's a reason for that. It's not just people that you kind of have your back and that you can rely on. It's for your mental health. It's for your physical health. It's for everything that you need. We have to be, and it's not even selfish. It's just giving yourself that amount of self-care and being aware that, hey, this is my circle and this is all I can handle right now. And that's okay. Because again, spreading yourself too thin, taking on the world's problems, like what good does that do for you? You know what I mean? People's moods, those are also their issues. Those are their problems. Let them deal with it. Someone's angry, someone feels a certain way, like, it's just gonna move past that and just keep it pushing, right? Like I see shit like that on Instagram all the time. People angry posting, people doing shit, whatever. And I'm just like, next. Because I'm just like, nah, I don't need it in my vision right now. Like I can't deal with this shit. I don't want to see it. And that's cool, right? Because I can curate that. I can curate that world to show me a certain thing. And it's not that I want to see the world through rose-colored lenses, but I can curate that. This is a world that I have created. So if I want to see nothing but design, typography, cars, food, you know, things that I like, certain things with comedy, whatever it may be, if that's what I want to curate, that's what I want to curate. That's what that shit's for, right? So again, people's moods, let that shit, that's them. That's a them problem. Like, let that stay over there. That doesn't have to infringe on my shit. It's cool. You be angry over there. I'm going to be kicking it over here, and that's good. And it can stay that way. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't feel bad about that shit. A lot of that has to deal with protecting your energy. You have to protect yourself because no one's going to protect you the way that you will protect yourself. You know what you need. You know the people that you need. You know the love that you're capable of giving, receiving, all of that, right? That's fucking important. Protect that shit. Protect that energy. Protect that love. Set up that kind of boundary, that force field that people can't just start coming in and saying and doing whatever the fuck they want because they want to. Nah. Again, you staying in your lane and protecting your peace is a part of that. Because you're like, I'm going to just kick it right here and keep it moving. And there's nothing wrong with that. Once again, self-care has to be a thing. It has to come first. We feel guilty. We feel bad. Because sometimes you got to put people aside. But it's all good. There's nothing wrong with that shit. And when people get upset about that, about you putting yourself first, those are people that you need to kind of assess the situation and say, all right, maybe this person isn't for me. Maybe I kind of need to push back this way. You go fucking over there because I can't deal with this shit. You act some sort of way, you make me feel some sort of way. You know what I mean? Like, dip, go that way type shit. And at the end of the day, staying in your lane, protecting your peace, all of that, it kind of aids to that not having unnecessary stress. Like, why the fuck would you want to add more to your plate at any and all times? Like, again, for myself, I have enough stress dealing with my immediate family and the issues that we have going on that, again, that are very fucking serious. A lot of them, unfortunately, from a medical standpoint. But my grandma, she needs all of my fucking attention now more than ever. And granted, I've always taken care of her. Same thing with my mom. but both of them have their medical issues that need all of my attention right now. And dealing with doctors and having conversations and specialists and checking medications and trying to create documents and spreadsheets to keep track of blood pressures and medications and all this bullshit, right? Like, even talking about it for that split second, I'm sure as I was saying it, you're like, oh fuck, because it's a lot. And then on top of it, I have everything else that I'm dealing with. Shit with my career, personal, everything kind of in my space, in my bubble, in my lane. That's enough for me. I don't need more, and nor do I want more. I'm not trying to make shit harder for me. I want to do the opposite. I'm trying to find ways to like alleviate stress, alleviate pain, and make more time for people and things and places that I love, because that's the shit that's important to me. That's what I have to do for my own mental health, for my own sanity, my own just peace and well-being. That's what I have to do. I know normally we end with advice, but I feel like whenever I end with the advice, sometimes I want to speak on it and I'm like, damn it, I'm about to have another however many minutes going on with the advice. And I was like, I want to find a way to get the advice into the conversation. And this is a part of it. So one of the first pieces, there's two pieces of advice today, but one of the first pieces is your taste in people will change as you learn to love yourself. And this kind of sparked up the idea of personal growth, and the other part of it is changing your circle, and you'll get that part right now. But I feel like over time, when you learn to love yourself more, you will learn that relationships shift, that maybe certain people don't line up with certain ideas, or maybe you realize something about somebody and that idea is not the same anymore. And I feel like we take that as something bad, and it's like, nah, dude, it's okay. Like, as we get older, we change, right? They say even, what is it? Every 7 years, you will change. You will go through some sort of change. And like, I think about it, and I can't say specifically that it's been 7 years, but I do know that right now I am coming into a period of change. And I know I've spoken to you guys about it before, but it's like, I notice that my circle is shifting. As certain events are happening, as certain things are taking place, I'm noticing a massive shift, not even a little bit, like we're to where my circle's fucking gone down, like, whoom, like not next to nothing, but like chopped down by half type shit. And that's okay. At first I was like really fucking bothered by it. And I'm like, what the fuck? But then I realized, I'm like, wait, this is changing because of me. Because I'm choosing and putting myself first. And if other people feel some sort of way about it, or if they don't like it, if they don't like certain advancements that I'm making, or certain things that I'm just kind of putting out there, that's a them problem. They can fuck off. Like, later, it's cool. I had you for a certain amount of time. You were a part of a certain chapter in the book, and now we moved on. And you don't have to be there. I don't need you there. And it's all good. It's completely fine. But again, I feel like the more that you learn to love yourself, you will notice that things around you start to change. And it might feel like a negative change, but I promise you it's not. It's because you're coming into a version of yourself. You're coming into something new. You are coming into yourself. You're being more you than ever before. And I feel like the skin that you shed, again, it's like that rebirth. It's like you're coming into that version that's more solidified, that is like, now it's time for that part of you to come out. And because of that, the skin that you're shedding, it also has all these people that knew you as this person, that saw you a certain way, but that new version, they don't necessarily line up with. They don't really understand. And it's okay. It's okay. They were meant to be shed with that skin. But once it falls off and you shake it off and you're like, all right, cool. You kind of secure yourself in your new self. That's cool. And for me, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I feel like I'm in a new version of myself, but it feels good. Something feels right about it. Like I'm kind of uneasy with a lot of shit in life right now, but I feel like because I haven't really found that stability in multiple places. Business is fucking crazy again. Family's crazy. My personal life is like, it's all over the fucking place. So I'm searching for the stability, but I have the pieces to give me the stability. So it's like, okay, I'm just trying to put the Legos where they need to go, you know? So that's the first part of the advice, is I guess Not even I guess, it's what I read to you guys, right? Like your taste in people will change as you learn to love yourself. So love yourself, put yourself first. That will do so much more for you, not just for your mental health, for your physical health. It'll do something for your life, because the people who fuck with you, who subscribe to that, who just really subscribe to you as a person, who you are at your fucking center, at your core, those people will stay. And the people who tell you that they fuck with you and then you find out that they don't, or they don't support you, or they're not there for you, those are the ones that need to fall off. It makes more time, space, and energy for the ones who do love you, the ones who do care. Maybe you're spending time with the wrong people. Maybe you're texting, calling with the wrong people when you should be talking to other people. And it's like, okay, now my time is a little more freed up. And when you nourish, put more time into those relationships, that's where shit pays off, right? Like that was also a part of our conversation on Saturday, is one of the girls, her sister, she was mentioning that. She goes, this year I want to be a lot more intentional with my time. I want to nourish the relationships that I have. And I said, that's it right there, mama. Like, nourish the relationships that you have. I'm not saying that, it's not cool to meet new people, make new friends and shit like that. But I feel like if you're constantly doing that, you're constantly trying to make and meet new people and bring them into your life, into your circle, you're not really watering any of these plants that you have. You're just buying new plants all the time type of shit. Where is the time that you're going to have to water all of these? Some of these things are going to die off. Some of these plants are going to fall ill because of all this, right? And it's like you're constantly getting something new, and that's great. But again, you have a warehouse full of shit behind you that you have yet to water, that you have yet to fucking sit there and groom and make sure everything is good. Maybe if you stopped bringing in all these new people, new energies, new things, you would have time to cultivate the shit that you already have, so that it can maybe become even more beautiful than it already was from the first time that you attained it. So that's a big part of it. And the second half is some people will judge you for changing and others will celebrate you for growing. And this kind of ties in with that first part, right? And it's like, how do you handle people who resist your growth? You don't have to handle those people at all. You simply let them go. They're not meant to stay in this part of your life. They're not meant to be a part of the next chapter. And that's all right. You don't have to feel bad about it. You don't have to hold anyone's hand. You don't have to keep something for whatever. Fuck it. Me personally, I'm like right now I'm dealing with some shit with family regarding guilt. And I'm not supposed to, I shouldn't even say that, but it's like I'm being asked to help somebody. And this person is a piece of shit. And I've had to help them a majority of their life. And I get it, right? Like we're family, but that whole family shit is fucking done. I'm not here for it. And I've talked about this before, and I've had this conversation with multiple fucking people. And it's like, dude, family doesn't mean anything. I have people that are not my blood that have made me understand what family is and what family does and why they earn that word. It's a word, I feel like it isn't just given, right? It's like, even I was talking with Sebastian the other day, and he was talking about the idea of love, and we were talking about it in a piece that I was kind of going through. And he goes, dude, I feel like love is so watered down with the amount that people use it. Like, I wish there was a way to kind of word things differently, right? Like, there's other words and it doesn't get used. So when you read love, 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 love in something, it's so watered down because it doesn't mean as much, because it's being used 100 times versus being used once or twice type of thing. And this is just in something that we were reading. And it's true, because even then, with the subject of love, there's other countries and other places that have different words for different kinds of love, right? Like in Norway, there is different kinds of words for different kinds of loves. There is a love that you have for your parents. There's a love that you have for your partner, for your friends, your grandmother, all kinds of stuff. There is specific words that speak that love. They don't just say love, love, love. And it was funny because even with that, I saw this Hallmark movie maybe like a month or two ago, some shit like that. And they talk about that in there. And they were saying how Americans just say, oh, we love this, we love that, we love this, we love that. And it's kind of like meaningless because of that, because love is so overused that it's watered down. And I said, yes, as a culture, that I feel like that happens so much. Which there's other words too, right? Like outside of love, I feel like it overused and it's been watered down, and it's almost like crying wolf type shit. Like triggered. Triggered's another one where so many people fucking use it, and it's like, do you even know what the fuck triggered is, or what that means, where that comes from? Or gaslight, like, do you know what being gaslit is? Do you understand that? Do you know what it is to be the person who is gaslighting or getting gaslighted? And nobody knows that. Or gaslit, I should say. Again, I don't want to get too crazy on all that type of shit, but again, I feel like when you're kind of dealing with this whole idea where people will judge you for growing and for changing, it's okay. Again, you have to be able to step away from that, because that is a them problem. And for me, even with this family situation that I'm dealing with, I'm trying to remove myself and say, okay, well, no, like, I don't want to get stuck in this. I don't want to feel guilt. I don't want to feel any of that, because I'm changing, because this is the person that I am. I shouldn't feel guilty for that. I shouldn't feel guilty for doing things that are for me, for my sanity, for my mental health, and for also knowing what's right and saying, I don't want to do this, and just say it because this reinforces this kind of behavior. And I don't want to feel bad about it, So I got to be able to step back. And with all of that too, the same thing like we were talking about, your circle, right? Choosing to surround yourself with those who encourage your evolution, those who encourage your change, those who get excited, who are there to gas you up, the first people to turn around and call you and say, hey, I'm proud of you. I saw what you did. I see what you're doing. Keep that shit up. And when there's crickets from the people who supposedly loved and cared for you, fuck them, dude. Fuck them 110%. Where were you when I needed you? Where were you when you were supposed to show up? Oh, you're busy. Oh, you have a lot going on. Okay, yeah, I get that. I get it. We all have lives, and I'm not saying you need to fucking drop everything for me. That's not what I'm saying. But there's a certain thing and a certain place, a certain time that you can sit there and you can look at that shit and say, hold on, you're showing me something. The crickets are showing me something, because if I'm seeing you do certain things, for example, on social media, and you have time for shit like that, you could have also had time to reach out. Hey, what's going on? How you been? I haven't heard from you in a while, that type of shit. But it's okay. It's okay. Again, not everyone is supposed to be in every chapter of your book. And maybe people come back. It happens. I'm not saying that, they have to be gone forever. But for the time being, at least in the current moment, always be aware of those people, of those circles, and be ready to adjust when you need to adjust. And it's all right to do that. Put yourself first. Put your love, put your sanity, everything else first. That's the shit that matters the most. Which kind of leads into my next thing, right? So I was kind of alluding to social media at the end right there, right? Like, you see people posting and maybe they're not reaching out, or you reached out, you sent a text and you're like, dude, but you can be over here posting memes, but you can't respond to a text that I send you, or I know you've seen certain things and you just didn't say shit about it. So that kind of gets into my next thing, which is just, I guess, the idea of like mental health with social media, and how there's really no boundary anymore. I feel like social media has taken over people's lives, and it's like become their person. It's who they are. And the whole like TikTok ban is fucking insane. It was crazy for those couple of hours that it went down, because it's like it took over people's lives to a certain point where, again, I think I had discussed this on the last episode, but maybe not. But there was devices that were going on eBay that had TikTok for 10 grand, because people were just like, oh, I fucking need it. And it's like, the fuck do you need it for? Like, all you do is watch bullshit. You look at recipes and you find whatever else the fuck you find, and you're looking up your astrology shit and fucking, I don't know, like whatever bullshit it is that you take in on that app, and you're gonna lose your mind about it. Like, who the fuck cares? It's a social platform. Like, I think about that shit all the time, and I had somebody ask me recently too, dude, like, yo, what would you do if like IG crashed? And I'm like, still do my thing. Like, it doesn't stop me from doing what I do. That's just a part of what I do. It's a place that I showcase my work. But I'm like, okay, then I just post more regularly on my website. That's all I do. I switch out my photography as it is, and I'll go through my design work and clean certain things up. I'll add certain things to my portfolio. So it's like, okay, I just put more time into that. I don't want it to run my whole fucking life. It's not my entire life. As a matter of fact, I feel like I would do so much better without social media in general. Would it suck because I would lose contact with so many people? Yeah. But at the same time, it's not something that I need. And I find moments where I get almost like addicted to it. And thankfully I'm able to recognize that. But sometimes it's almost when it's too late. I notice an unhealthy habit and it's already been happening for a minute. And I'm like, oh, dude, this can't be good. Like, I got to chill the fuck out. And I feel bad because there's so many people that will like DM me and they'll go unread. Like, I won't answer those messages because I'll either get overwhelmed or I'll just be like, dude, I just can't. I don't want to do this. Like, if you want to reach out to me, text me. And that's cool. We can have a conversation. I'll text back and forth. It's all good. But I don't want to be on this app. I don't want to see shit. I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost too much. But people have made that their entire world. And that shit is scary. Watching how the world right now is losing it, and that TikTok is still on the news and they're trying to find a buyer and all this bullshit's happening. You're like, fuck, dude, what in the world is fucking going on? Like, it feels like we are constantly living an episode of Black Mirror being in the States, because so much shit is going on that is unreal. And I think about the social media episode of Black Mirror, right? Where it's like, you get kind of like ranked or something like that. I don't remember. It was a while since I've seen it, but it's like, I feel like that's the way society's going. That's where we've been heading. It's where shit is just kind of, I don't know, falling into, and it's fucking weird. Like, people need to chill the fuck out. Like, it's a social platform. It is not real. The internet is not real. None of that shit is. Is it helpful? Is it a great tool? Yeah, for sure. For myself, it is. It's been a massive tool. I've been able to reach people, talk to people from all different parts of the world, establish business, do all kinds of cool stuff. But I'm not going to fucking lose it if it all goes away. I guess it's just something I'll turn around and say, hey, you know what? At least I got to experience it. But it doesn't run my life, and I don't ever want it to run my life. And then it's also crazy too, because this kind of ties in with what we were talking about earlier, right? The whole social thing tying in with political issues and basically like the divide that it's creating, right? This whole like election and everything, the way shit went down with social is crazy, because social had a lot of power at the time, and it still does. But at that specific time, you can see the divide that it was creating and how people were picking their sides and standing really hard, red, blue, whatever it may be. And you're like, oh fuck, they're making this thing that is not real. They're making it a very real thing, and people remember shit. Dude, I saw what you posted. I saw what this was. I saw what you stand for. I saw what you said, and it's like, again, people forget. People forget this shit matters. And to some people it matters more than others, right? But I think if people just stayed in their lane, it also goes along with the idea of choosing your battles wisely. That's what I have here in my notes. And I was like, fuck. I was like, wait, why do I have this starred? But because of this. Choosing your battles wisely, right? Because engaging in discussion that matters is what's important. But you don't want to get sucked into the unnecessary negativity of it, because nobody wants to have the conversations. But you have to be careful with who you talk to and who you speak with about certain things. But you don't want to fall into that hole, right? And again, I feel like just staying in your lane and just kind of doing your thing and observing, taking notes, maybe about certain people, certain things, you can say, all right, I don't think I'm going to speak to this person about this because of their standpoint. I don't think they'd understand. And they're not the type of person I could have a conversation with. And you sit there, you take your notes, and that's it. You move about it. Again, stay in your fucking lane. I'm not saying to just keep your mouth shut 24/7, but choose your fucking battles with certain people. If you have a homie that's maybe believes in the opposite of what you do, but you know they're educated on it, maybe you want to have a conversation with them, and you do. And then maybe you guys do. And it's great. And you're able to kind of understand, well, okay, you know what? I don't agree with you, but I get what you're saying. Okay, for sure. Yeah, likewise. So on and so forth. All right, dude, like, I'll talk to you soon, whatever. Part ways. Shit like that's great. Is it rare? Fuck yeah, it's super rare. Like, I see so many people posting about all kinds of different things, and probably 99.5% of those people I would never have a political conversation with, because they themselves don't even understand what it is that they're supporting. And it's both ends of the spectrum. It's all kinds of shit. It's not that I'm speaking specifically to one party or certain people. It has nothing to do with it. There's ideas. There's certain things that are being supported. And I'm just like, I don't know if you know what's up. I don't think, and I'm pretty sure you don't actually know where the fuck that comes from or what's going on or what's being done. And that's the shit that bothers me. So for me, I just stay in my lane and I keep it going. I take my mental notes and say, all right, if this fool's ever around and they're talking about this shit, if I choose to engage, I choose to engage. But that's my own fucking will. But as of right now, it's like, I'm going to just walk past it as if I didn't see that. And that's it. And some people say like, oh, dude, that's just like being ignorant. That's turning a blind eye. And it's like, dude, I don't want to see that shit. I'm not going to put in my 2 cents. I'm not going to engage because that's unnecessary stress that I don't need. The fuck am I going to get into an argument with some dude that I know doesn't even know what the fuck he's talking about? That's stupid shit. Think about it. It's stupid as fuck. So why am I going to do that? Nah, I'd rather save that time, save that energy, save that conversation for somebody who knows, who is educated, who cares. And I can say, okay, me and so can have a conversation, but me and this other person can't, simply because of that. So what I want to do is just review the key points, my takeaways for you guys from this episode, because I know we talked about a lot and it was kind of all over the place. I was thinking today was going to be a shorter episode. Clearly it's not. So thank you guys for sticking around. Hopefully you're able to take something from it. But these are my key points from everything. Allow people to have their moods without taking it personally. Minding your business will always equal more peace. Growth means outgrowing certain people, and that's okay. Choose your circle wisely, because people who celebrate you, not judge you, are the ones that you want around. And you want to look at and take all those things in, you guys. I'm trying to encourage you to be yourself. Put yourself first. I'm trying to encourage self-care. Because a lot of y'all that are watching and listening, you don't do it. I know you don't. You're full of shit. You say, oh yeah, I did. Shut up. Why are you lying right now? Look, I'm looking at you. For those of you who are watching this, I'm looking at you. Why are you lying right now? When was the last time you did some shit for yourself? When was the last time you put yourself first? And for those of you who are listening, I'm fucking talking to you too, because you already know. I'm just saying, for those of you who are watching, I'm able to fucking look at you, because shouts to the camera. But put yourself first. All of this shit, everything we talked about, ultimately goes back to you. You have the power. What's in front of you, what's around you, you can shift all those things. Control them to the best of your ability. And everything that it is within your control, make sure it's what you want. Make sure it's what you need, what you deserve. If it's not, if it doesn't line up with either of those things, shift it, move it. Let it fall, let it break, let it go away, whatever needs to happen or any of that, just let it. It's cool. Shed that skin. It's not for you. You are changing. You are in a period right now that things are shifting for you. If that's how you feel. Maybe not everybody, I'm sure not everyone who's watching or listening is kind of going through shit like that. And that's cool. You don't have to be. But I'm saying if you do come across a situation, remember this. Where if it doesn't line up, if you don't feel supported, you don't feel loved, then it's like, all right, I'm going to pivot. I'm going to go that way. Because that seems like where I need to be. And this is bullshit. I can't subscribe to that anymore. Maybe you did for a certain amount of time, but everybody hits their boiling point. And the moment you do, usually when you hit that boiling point, it's because it's already too late. Shit's already boiling over. But it's cool. You can still catch it. You can still chill the flame out and walk away in peace. And that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. So I appreciate you guys so much for the love, the support, everything that you do for this podcast. When you guys comment, interact, DM, call, text, anything like that regarding any of the episodes or just the podcast in general, I appreciate the fuck out of you guys. It means the world, because if it wasn't for y'all, I wouldn't be here doing this. So thank you. And for those of you guys who share it to other people, I appreciate it. The subscribes that I get, the follows that I get, it means the world. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, like, subscribe, follow, that whole thing. Because that's not the vibe. That's not what if you want to be here, you want to be here. It's cool. And if you like the message that we fuck around with on this podcast, share it. If you want to hear more of it, if it's your first time being around here, thanks for coming through. Check it out. It's like this every week. We fuck around every week. We talk about all kinds of shit. But it's mainly about you. Make yourself number one. You are priority number one. Your love, everything that is about you. That's number one. So I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your week, an incredible weekend, and I will catch you guys on the next one.